Wired Unplugged.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Wired Unplugged. Today, we're recording this remotely, so I'm very sorry that it looks like I'm recording this from DJ Khaled's studio. But,
DJ Khaled!
But maybe I am. I can't disclose that. We're here for another episode. And look, it's one of those special episodes where we have a guest the whole time. This time, JinJar, streamer,
Hi.
entrepreneur, CEO of JinJar Industries.
Fine beard.
Yeah, a man with fantastic taste and variety caster over at Twitch. JinJar, thank you very much for joining us for this hour-long session.
Thanks for having me. No, that's good.
We're going to be delving a little bit deeper into your past, not in like a sort of like private eye way. It's part of the Streamer Stories monthly segment where we get a better idea about content creation from the people who actually do it. I think it's quite a misunderstood segment of the games industry, and there's always people that can learn from people's stories. There's lots of content creators who have made it and having a lot of fun doing what they do through a variety of means. So we'd love to hear all about that. And you've got a pretty interesting story, and you do a lot for a lot of really good causes. So I think before we roll on in with our regular scheduled stuff, Aaron Cooper, purveyor of fine goods, also bringing us the propaganda every single week, as well as the news. We're shuffling up, Aaron. You're like the headline. You're like the headliner this week.
Yeah.
No pressure, Jinjar, mate. Straight in there with the goods.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So hey, listen. We'll start it with this. In your own words, describe to the people at home what it is that you do and how regularly you do it.
Predominantly stream on Twitch. I stream 3 times a week to cover as much indie stuff as we can. Supporting indies. We regularly support indies on a Wednesday night. So we have like an indie Wednesday night. And obviously, when there's some AAAs that we're really looking forward to playing as well, we play those as well. But yeah, it all started with like wanting to support the indies as much as we could, really. So yeah,
Yeah, I mean, speaking
a bit of
that,
everything,
actually,
really.
You've done a lot with Wired in the past. When we're talking about indie games as well. Do you remember what the first title was and how you came on board with the fan?
Yeah. So I actually met Wired at an EGX event
Nice.
for the first time. And I was actually looking at a game of theirs. Aaron obviously knows it. It's Victor Vran. And I was pulled to it because of a DLC. And it was the Motorhead
Oh yes.
DLC that came with Victor Vran. I saw this. I think I originally saw it on Twitter and was like, I got to get me some Motorhead action in gaming. So I scoped them out and I was like, right, I have to go see these guys tomorrow when I go back into the event, because I think it was the second day of the event. And I went up to the booth and that, and I seen Victor Vran, and the guys were like, oh yeah, here you go, have a go, and so I sat down, played it for a little while, and I was like, yeah, this is definitely the game for me. Like I really enjoyed it. I bought the game from the booth while I was there. I got the collector's tin.
Nice.
And they had some like Motorhead themed beer at the booth as well.
Yeah.
So I may have sampled a couple of those while I was there. And
Still got some of that left. Still got some of that left. But you never know. You never know when you're going to have that really hard day.
Yeah, you just need some Motorhead beer. Yeah. But yeah, the guys were great, and we stayed in touch. And from there, I built quite a good relationship with Wired as well. So
I think I remember you doing like an astounding amount with Grip.
Yes.
As well.
Yeah.
So from like I say, from building the relationship with Wired, we started to do a regular Wednesday night with the indie thing all tied in. I started up a hashtag Wired Wednesdays, and we ran Victor Vran for a good couple of months. We got a few hundred hours, I think, in Victor Vran, and multiple kind of playthroughs with different people joining in and people from the community joining in and stuff like that. And then we kind of continued that by going into Grip then. So when Grip came out, I actually hosted a Grip Wednesdays segment on Xbox for Grip, and then we went into the PC version and we did a whole bunch of Grip streams. I think nearly it's a bit of a joke actually within my community now, because nearly every member that kind of comes in regularly all own Grip now, just for the fact that they've either bought it themselves or we've ran giveaways and they've won copies and stuff like that. So yeah, usually now, because I mean, we'll probably speak about it a little while about the charity giveaways and stuff like that. But usually, with the Grip streams, we were usually giving away copies, to the community and stuff, and then getting them in, and we were having like tournaments in the arena, and Grip is a intensely high-paced game. We were having like first to get to Mach 1 competitions and stuff like that. We even dabbled at a 20-lap race just on the oval track, the night bowl.
Yeah.
But in full high speed with the hyperspeed enabled, all boosts enabled and stuff like that. It was a bit sickly.
Did anything explode?
But yeah, well, plenty.
Your mind.
So,
brains.
Yeah. I think we put Grip down for a couple of days after that one race, but yeah. No, we have done a lot with Grip, yeah, definitely. But going back with the Wired theme, I've played a lot of Wired games, obviously, since meeting the guys and starting with Victor Vran. I think I've played the whole back catalog now. So yeah, it's
would you dare put out in the public eye what your favorite Wired game is?
My favorite Wired game is, I mean, like I say, Victor Vran is quite a close one for me, because it was kind of the one that started it all.
Yeah.
The one that you want a sequel to.
Yeah.
Not confirming or denying anything, by the way.
No,
put that out there.
Well, we were actually discussing this with Gary from Wired.
Good old Gaza.
About a sequel for Grip, and we were trying to think of what the best name for a sequel for Grip would be, and I think Gary's favorite is Grip Harder.
Grip Harder. So, that's what I was thinking in my head,
Yeah, so we've actually discussed these within the community before, like when I've been streaming or when we've been in one of Gary's streams as well. And yeah, I think Grip Harder is the favorite.
That's
if
really
we ever
strange.
Get a sequel for Grip as well.
Yeah, nice one, Gary. Hive minds behavior.
Grip Harder. The important thing there would just be how to make the logo work. Because the Grip logo,
that's
upside down and normal be red, so it's like
that severely limits the possibilities, I think. But you need to in a way. Yeah, fantastic. So like that's a really nice story, because it not only does it kind of showcase a bit of like, well, I don't know. There's I think a lot of content creators they're on a treadmill and they play games full time, some of them, and others as much as they can, which certainly seems like full time. I think anything other than looking after your kids feels like full time when you've got kids, So I think having a relationship with a publisher like that, it must be a breath of fresh air. But meeting at a physical convention is something that seems almost nostalgic now, doesn't it? I suppose.
Yeah.
I do have to ask though, and this isn't the Wired show. I mean, technically it is the Wired show, but you can be free in this. What makes a good partner for you in the gaming space in terms of what is useful to you, and what do you wish more people did? How can more people help you out? What's like a really good relationship for you? What does that look like?
I mean, obviously, like the communication between the team and the streamer. I've worked with some companies who have maybe dawdled a little bit and maybe not got back to you right away, shall we say, and that kind of puts you off a little bit sometimes working with them, because you kind of feel
how
they might
important
not be interested or so I think maybe when there's that kind of stutter between the communication, I think that can kind of like be a little bit of a almost like a red flag, shall we say? But you know, there's always reasons behind it, or second chances and all that and everything. But yeah, I mean, like, like I say, for me, it's building that kind of like relationship with them as well. So, like I said, for people like yourselves, I've done quite a bit with Curve Digital or Curve Games now that they're going by now. Team 17. I've got quite a good relationship with a few different companies now, and yeah, it's just it's that friendliness as well.
Yeah.
It's not doesn't have to be business all the time. Like sort of thing, it can be quite friendly.
Yeah.
Like so,
Curve Games, you did. I believe, if I cast my mind back, you did some human fall flat fun shenanigans. Is that correct?
Yes,
And
yes,
that
we did.
that was for a charity thing.
It was actually during, I think it was last year. Yeah, last year's Safe in Our World charity run. And so what I did was I went into the character customization, and I created a onesie that had the Safe in Our World logo on the back. Yeah.
It was beautiful.
And so we were playing Human Fall Flat, and obviously it was all about the charity, and I wanted to show off the charity a little bit more. So adding the logo in the game and that and everything was really cool way of doing that as well. But yeah, also like right now I'm streaming like a beta for Curve for their new game Golf Gang as well.
Golf Gang.
That's a good name.
That's pretty cool.
Is it a bit? Is it like crimey but with a bit of golf? Or, what's the thing there?
It's a little bit like golf with your friends.
Golf with friends.
It has a racing element to it as well. Yeah,
you can make some threats.
Yeah,
I'll give you a 4.
It has this racing element to it as well. So it's not only get to the hole in the least amount of shots, but it's also fastest one there gains more points than the slowest one there, and then they add the scores together, and then you see where you are on the leaderboard.
That's cheeky.
I like
funny.
That's funny. That's what golf needs, isn't it? A bit of time pressure.
Yeah.
Speedrun, any percent speedrun golf. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
That's
so
interesting.
we're having quite a good laugh with that at the moment. We've been playing that like as a community game on a Saturday. But like I say, just having like that kind of bond, that kind of relationship with the companies is the big thing for me. And like because we play so many different games and stuff like that, like I don't know, I find it hard to find a bad word about games. Like it's just because I enjoy a vast amount of genres. So
yeah,
if I've got something bad to say about a game, then it's pretty bad.
Yeah, it's nice to be able to scale it in your head. I think it's kind of like when an indie game isn't as polished as like Ghost of Tsushima or something like that. You're not like going why and comparing them. I suppose if you can get into that mentality, that's the key. Do you find that between working on a lot of indie stuff and working with more AAA games, the communication has been a lot different? Is there anything that you've noticed there?
Yeah. So I'd say more on the indie side, you tend to get a lot more communication. With the AAAs, obviously they're a lot busier sometimes, and they might have a lot larger kind of community to look after or something like that. So it does feel more kind of intimate with the indie game developers and stuff, which is a nice thing. It's you kind of feel a part of the family, with the indie developers and stuff. So
I guess with AAA as well. I mean, that's kind of how they got their name AAA, though, right? Because the work life is just
yeah, that's it.
I'm gonna leave now, but it was
really
good to be back.
That's really good. Yeah,
it's not Jake.
No,
don't encourage me, mate.
Yeah, no, I've got to. That's good. That's interesting, and I think there must be some sort of like especially trying to balance this with your other life. You're getting something a little bit
fighting
more
crime.
Yeah. We said we wouldn't talk about that. Remember?
Oh, sorry.
No, there's
always Golf Gang.
Committing crime. There must be something kind of that leaves an impact on you. I think. Oh, I'm sorry if my microphone's picking up the sirens outside. It's just really funny after we've spoken about golf gang.
Nothing to do with me.
They've been tipped off.
Yeah, they know the golf gang can hear. There's I was going to say working with indie must give you a lot more, I guess, validation, I suppose, as well. Working on AAA, you know, you must feel like you're making and you can see the impact that you're making and your community are making, and I'm sure your community feel that way too, rather than just being another drop in the 2K pool, for example. Other publishers are available, you know, but I suppose that there's that aspect. So your community seems to be at the core of what you do, and
definitely.
As their valiant leader, you're doing some really good things, philanthropic things in the form of charity runs and things like that. So would you like to tell us a little bit about that, and particularly what it was that drew you to like Safe, which is a charity that, for those who are completely unaware, we've got loads of podcasts on Safe, mate. Just go and check it out. We got Rosie on.
Rosie, good old Rosie.
They get name dropped nearly every episode because they're doing solid work. But Jinjar's going to give you his spin on it now. So
So
I guess the best place to start is how did you get involved? Like, I mean, what got you in the face?
Well, obviously the connection with Wired
Jake,
as well.
Stop it, man.
Got you in the face.
Sorry, Jinjar, please.
No, that's okay. So obviously the connection with Wired and with Neil and Leo. We'd met up at a few events, a few launch parties and stuff like that. And I always said, if there was any other way that I could help, in the future or anything, to kind of let me know. And they knew that I was already doing charity work for the likes of Special Effect. So I'd been volunteered at events for Special Effect, and we'd done charity streams and stuff like that and everything as well. And then when Safe was going to be born, they asked me along to be an ambassador, and it was just it felt like the right fit. It was a group of people that I already kind of knew, and obviously there was some new faces in there as well, but they're all awesome as well. The charity itself, what they were putting forward, the plans that they had, the support for mental health. At the beginning, we were talking just about the games industry and stuff like that, and then it kind of branched out and went even bigger again. So everything about it was like, I want to be involved with this, So like I mentioned, I was already doing charity streams for Special Effect, and now we tie in the Safe in Our World ones as well now. So those two charities are like the main two that we do the charity runs for now on my channel. But we always do a run in February around Game Blast time for Special Effect. Then we have Mental Health Month. So right now we're doing a run for Safe in Our World as well. We've got a partnership with 7 Squared, who are awesome retro gaming t-shirt company, and they have an event once a year called Safe Mentality. I got involved with that the last couple of years as well. So basically we kind of balance between those two throughout the year. I've been streaming now for just under 5 years, and we've realized recently that between those two charities alone, just in community donations, we've raised over £4,000 now between the two charities. So as a goal for the end of this year, with it being my 5th year in streaming, we were trying to raise another 1,000 to make it like 5,000 in 5 years. Was going to be like the goal. But then for Game Blast, we were aiming for the 500 mark, which was like the half of the extra 1,000, and we smashed that. We made just under 700 for them.
Wow.
And now at the moment we're doing it for Safe. We're 9 days into our Safe fundraiser, and we've already raised £250. So we are pretty much, I think we're gonna hit that goal before we even reach halfway through the year. So that's just like a credit to the community and how they've been involved and stuff like that as well. Because they they see me pushing these charities and they just get behind it and they kind of go, yeah, let's run with it. There we go. And yeah, it's been great. They've really been supportive and they do everything they can to keep me going as well. We've done some wacky things like we raised £1,000 last May. So we did a 1,000-minute stream, which was just over 16 and a half hours,
Right. Yeah.
something like that. And yeah, towards the end of that, I completely relied on the community to keep me awake because I was like, I was flagging a little bit, but yeah, it's just little things like that. The community, they are, like you said, a core behind why I do this and why I still find enjoyment in this 5 years on, like, sort of thing. So
I know exactly how you mean with that 16-hour thing. I've done some 24-hour beasts in the past, front to back, start to finish, and when you watch them back, you get to specific points and you're like, what's going on? Have you seen that episode of The Simpsons where Pooh just starts becoming a hummingbird past the CCTV cameras? Like, it's like that. It's like you just ascend to some other state of consciousness or unconsciousness. I do not know.
Does that really mean? I was interested in that. I suppose that's probably it. I mean, you've gone in high up there with the 16 hours. I was going to say, is there any specific angle or part of a charity drive that's really stuck out for you during these runs? Like, you mentioned
there's a couple of favorites within like the community and stuff. So for special effect, I dressed as Bob Ross and did a painting stream.
Good, yeah.
So the afro kind of went with the beard already.
I was going to say the bottom half of your face for the audio listeners. We're halfway there.
Yeah. So that one got quite a lot of amusement, and there was still people like I went to Twitch London a couple of years back, and there was people coming up to me going, "Oh, you dressed as Bob Ross for special effect for Game Blast that year." And so like after that event happened, like I had to do it again. So we did like the Bob Ross the Return, like sort of thing. So those were both really funny. Yeah, and at the moment, so the one that we're fundraising for now for Mental Health Month, we've actually got a kind of Nickelodeon style gunk forfeit.
Like get your own back.
Get your own back.
Yeah.
Dave Benson Phillips.
Yeah, shout out Dave.
Yeah, exactly. So what we're doing at the moment is for anybody that donates specific amounts, they get to pick a balloon that has a certain filling in it. So the fillings are porridge, glitter, flour, water. For some reason, Pepsi gets mentioned a lot within our community because it's what most of us drink, Pepsi Max.
The stickiness.
But so that's also in there as well as a kind of added thing. And at first, when we kind of came up with this idea, it was like, it will sell a few. People will donate a bit, and these balloons will get added in. And I think we're up to about 25 balloons now, and they all have obviously these different ingredients inside that are going to be popped above my head, and I will be covered in the rain that comes from them. So and that's going to be at the end of the month. So
there's still time. So if people are listening to this contemporarily, you can tune in, and all the JinJar's links will be in the socials. So before we move on to the sort of second half of the podcast, where we'll take your input on the news of the week, as well as some of the Wired propaganda, which probably not much in it for you, to be honest. We went to PAX and you didn't, so it's going to be pretty boring. But we'll try.
I didn't. I kind of know what's coming though. I'm excited for things that are coming though. So that's okay.
Exactly. But before
I can join in with that.
Yeah, exactly. And I just wanted to, one of the things I think that no matter how long people have been streaming, or if people are looking at starting streaming, it's 2022. People might think it's too late. You've been streaming for about 5 years. What advice would you give to, like, or what was it that you wish you knew when you started streaming that you've learned over this time? It's a bit of a kind of Miss World type question, this, isn't it? A bit like a RuPaul's Drag Race finale question. But
what would I
Spill
tell
the
myself
tea.
back then? Yeah, spill the tea. I don't know really. I mean, when like my first ever time trying to stream or anything like that, I don't know if you guys remember, but you used to be able to stream directly to Twitch from like your console,
Yeah.
so without like a camera or anything like that. So my first ever trial of that, I did that from my Xbox, and I just put on like a game that I thought that wasn't really gonna like cause any like lag or anything like that. So I put on Monkey Island
Oh, nice.
because I had that on the Xbox. So that was kind of like my first kind of test stream. But when I decided I was gonna go for it and stuff, you know, I bought the PC, I got the camera and all that and everything. And the first game that I was playing was Fallout 4.
Mm.
And we were playing through that, and we had some silly hijinks where my partner, she actually had, I don't know if you guys remember, but you could get like the Pip-Boy app for
Yes.
the
Yeah,
phone,
yeah,
and
yeah.
you could like look at the map and things like that and everything.
I love that.
And she had my my
you
phone.
could put it in the collector's edition
Yes,
thing,
yes,
right?
yes, yes,
Yeah.
you could.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
could.
yeah, yeah.
So I didn't have that, but I did have the Pip-Boy app downloaded for use for like the map and things like that.
Mm.
But whilst I was streaming, we had a massive laugh because my partner actually got my phone while I was streaming, and I was running around in the game, and you know things were attacking me and stuff like that, and I was getting like absolutely battered by these things. I was like, what is going on? I've got all this armor on, I've got these high power weapons, and I'm getting trashed here. Why? And what I didn't know was that she had been what's the word? Cavorting with chat, and they had been using the app on my phone to remove my armor while I was playing.
Oh,
So I was like running around. I went into like third person view, and I was literally my guy on the game was naked, still had my weapon, so like I was still running around. But obviously, from a first person view, from what I was seeing it,
Yeah.
I didn't know, and I was getting trashed by like these little tiny like Mirelurks that were really low level and stuff. And I'm like, why am I getting beat by these? Why are they inflicting so much damage? I literally had
Dear
no
Bethesda,
armor, no
your
nothing.
game is broken.
Well, that was it. I was thinking, I was playing along, and I'm like, what is going on here? I can't kill them. But yeah, it was chat and my partner playing a massive prank on me.
Yeah.
And obviously, yeah, that kind of like back and forth and jokes and banter with chat and stuff like that. It's a big part of why I'm still doing it now. So yeah, it's good.
So it's good. So the lesson really here is that chat will betray you, even from day one.
Yes, even from day one.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They set the
Yeah,
tone,
and still to this day as well, if not more so.
That's a really nice story, and I miss companion apps actually. I hope they come back at one day.
Well, I mean, do you remember it was part of that asymmetrical gameplay fad? And do we all remember Smart Glass?
Yeah,
Xbox.
Yeah, this
Xbox
is what I
Smart.
mean.
What happened to that? Yeah,
And
it had the cool Division multiplayer thing. Yeah,
that's what I mean.
That's so cool.
The Division's the one that comes to mind, and then they like started like phasing it out and doing stuff like Assassin's Creed Black Flag. They had it where you could look after your ships while you were at work or whatever.
Yeah.
I worked in Tesco, and I was checking out my fleet or whatever. Other supermarkets are available, and you could sort out your fleet. And I think to some degree there's kind of like that. I think like Destiny 2 has like a companion app, Final Fantasy 14. You can't really do anything in them, but I remember that, and I think it was like, like my wife doesn't really play video games. I think she'd get involved a little bit more if she could like, do that, like jeopardize my gameplay. Like if she could remove my armor on Elden Ring, for example, without me knowing whilst I was playing, she would have been all over it. Like,
Listen, I think we just throw out the rest of the show that we got planned and just talk about this because I'm here for this.
yeah. Bring it back.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because there's like the whole. I'm not gonna try and segue into it, but I'll say that like I was thinking second screen Nintendo something Reggie. But yeah, like that whole like the second screen kind of fad, I think might make a resurgence one day. I'd like to see that. I wonder what other gaming fads were actually good and just ahead of their time. I'm assuming that's.
I think
what
the only other one I can think of that comes to mind that still kind of works at the moment is the Ultimate Team on FIFA, where you can still like change out your cards and stuff like that on the apps.
Yeah.
But obviously the app is only works for the current gen, doesn't it? So
Yeah.
if you're trying to play older ones, then it's gone.
I quite, and this is, I'm a bit of a fanboy, but I don't like the Nintendo Online app that they have, like, that you can get on your phone. However, the functionality for Splatoon 2 was really good. You could see what maps are in rotation. You could check out your loadout. You could buy special stuff from the shop that would appear in your game. It was cool.
Yeah.
But the rest of it, not so much.
That's the thing, isn't it? It's like there was like a little bit of hope there, but then I think it was, and people were getting a bit annoyed because I don't think there was like proper chat functionality at that point. So you had to use an app, so people were just a bit miserable anyway about it, isn't it? But it's cool. You get these little, like, I know the Destiny 2 companion thing's cool. You can change your loadout like on the app and stuff. And think again like Final Fantasy 14, which you can check your inventory, which like some of these Final Fantasy 14 players are like. Thousands of hours in, like literally thousands of hours in, so they've probably got a lot of items.
I am thinking though, like I play stupidly sometimes. I do play some big RPGs. At the moment, I'm playing through Shin Megami Tensei 5, right, which is hardcore JRPG.
Little game,
and there are moments where I wish a companion app to sort through my quests, to set myself goals for when I return to the game, to keep to kind of keep
project
me
management
in the mix of everything. Yeah, exactly. Sort my inventory out.
Exactly. Yeah.
Sell some stuff. Use some demons. So that's all done when I get back.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
There must be someone listening who's literally just screaming at the screen, use a notebook. But
it's the AAA crowd.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. All right, so let's take a step away from AAA and move to indie publishing houses such as Wired Productions, and get the inside scoop on what's going on with the Wired propaganda segment. Unfortunately, and I'll mention this one more time, please edit this out, Curtis. If not, come on, work with me here, baby. Curtis? Can you please just edit in the banger? Let's go.
Wired propaganda.
Well, there we go. Here we are at the Wired propaganda segment with the Minister of Propaganda, Aaron Cooper.
It is I. Hello.
Thank you very much for over 15 weeks now, bringing us this every time consistently. I think that's probably the secret to propaganda. It needs to be consistent. And on that note,
why am I here?
What have we
in
got?
your face.
What have we got? Yeah, exactly. What have we got?
So it's a lighter week this week, but what I can say is that next week there's actually going to be some exciting things we can share, and we have a special guest next week as well, which relates to this, which I don't know if we can mention yet. So I'm going to say no. Let's leave it as a tease. Come back next week.
Yeah,
but stay for now. But I think let's kick in with obviously. I know Jake, you spoke a bit about this whilst I was not here. But we had PAX. That thing that we were talking about every single week.
Yeah.
That happened. We did a panel. We did this live in front of an audience. And the beautiful thing is I wasn't really sure about the whole podium thing and the format and how it was really going to work.
Yeah.
But it was really great. If you watch the video, you can see me lean over thoughtfully, looking in the direction of Leo and Dre, just like nodding along. But all I could see in reality was the side of the podium and your arm, Jake, your beautiful arm. That is what I was looking at. So, there's a bit of acting there. It's like,
that's really good.
But no, we did a panel. Go on.
What you didn't see was Aaron's little X marker on the side of the podium, so he knew exactly where to look.
Jake helpfully put that for me there before.
Exactly.
It's like, you want to be looking around here.
It's all
around
planned.
Here,
Nod every 45 seconds. It was tough. It was tough being on the podium, to be honest with you, because I felt like it's very unnatural actually to look left and right so much when you're asking questions, and it got to the point where I'd look to the left, and I know I'd be spending a lot of time on one side of the table, and then go, oh fuck, I've got to go to the other side of the table now. So I felt like it was a game of two halves. So I wasn't that happy with that because I had to keep looking. But you know, what am I going? I just need to learn directions, don't I?
I
Of
think you
become an
smashed
owl.
it, mate. I think you smashed it.
Thank you for being so nice to me, man.
Yeah,
So
yeah. The
people
biggest
showed up.
surprise for me was exactly people showed up. There was a crowd. There was an audience. There was a guy who fell asleep dressed as a giant banana.
That was
banana guy.
That was my favorite part because you know what it was, right? I've got to tell you.
Clocked
Right.
him. I was like,
Aaron was doing really good with the crowd participation, and he like shouted somebody out in the crowd. The one person he shouted out, unfortunately, happened to have been asleep. Like, I promise you, that was the only guy as well. There was like legions of sleeping people there. No one was just there for a nap because of our sultry British tones.
He came in about 15 minutes into it, and I just saw this giant walking banana walking through the chairs in the back, and then sat down. I was like, "That's interesting. He's obviously coming for a little nap."
And I think, for context, I think that's a Fortnite skin. I think there's like a banana with boxing gloves, and like so this guy was just doing the rounds with the Fortnite like music, but you know, shadow boxing, and then he obviously got a bit fatigued during rounds 10 and 12, and he did a little bit of a sit down. Like,
yeah,
so...
I mean the next day he actually came in with maracas as well, so he had a banana suit that he augmented each day, and it was like a different theme.
I think it's a Fortnite thing, to be honest. But shout out to that guy. So
banana
JinJar,
guy.
obviously, if this was at EGX, like our home turf, it would have been packed to the rafters. But we were in front of a bunch of loving Americans who probably, and JinJar's the only person I've spoke to in this whole scenario that sounds almost a little bit like me. Our accents are very similar. So
we're quite close.
We are, yeah. So I'm like, so
spin the camera around. You're in the same room all this time.
Yeah, that's why my setup's different this time. So yeah, like it was like, I was laughing at the idea that, you know, we had quite a breadth of British accents as well. You know, we didn't all have like the accent when Family Guy does a British person. Like we had a nice mix of accents, so that was quite funny. So yeah, I don't know. We did PAX. It was fun. It was nice. It was exhausting, and we all got ill afterwards. So shouts out PAX. Aaron more so though. So I'm glad you're better, by the way.
Yeah. Thanks. I'm
the infamous con flu.
The con flu. But unfortunately, it was the COVID.
There was also proper COVID, yeah.
But it was proper COVID. I tested every day when I was there, negative, and it wasn't until the day I got back that it came out positive. And it was the morning after the day I got back that I tested again. So it was either at the airport or on the flights, because on the way out you have to do a very specific test 24 hours before you fly, otherwise you can't fly. On the way back you don't have to do that. On the way back I don't even think you have to show your vaccination forms either.
No, you don't. Yeah, you don't anymore. So yeah, it was...
I did fall a little ill, but I'm on the mend. The one thing that we do have to say, because and it takes a bit of a tonal shift, is obviously we probably all saw the news that one of the PAX enforcers sadly passed away due to COVID, which is a big shame. I don't think I think there's a lot of excitement that some of these shows are coming back, but I think, you know, it does go to you know, we all should try and be vigilant and look out for each other.
It's a stark realization there, isn't it? You're right.
Yeah.
And it's important to remember when people are being optimistic, and it's like, you know, I think everybody that I know, JinJar, I'm assuming you as well, kind of looking forward to EGX. But it's just a reminder, like, you know, whether it's something as severe as that or something as sort of light as Aaron managing to just beat COVID over the last couple of weeks, but it really was still there, still prevalent, and the world isn't over it as much as like you might think when you're walking around the UK. You know, when you're walking around in the States, there's masks everywhere still, but over here, so it was, but it did seem, you know, on a positive note, there was a sort of clear, you know, attempt to return to form, and there was a lot of effort, I think, from the PAX team to make stuff. But in fact, there was a lot of enforcers that were like kind of, I suppose they were a bit like stewards or whatever. They were like, you know, people who would put themselves forward to champion it, and they were really vigilant with what they were doing, weren't they? Going around and making sure people had masks on and stuff. I was actually with a friend who was exempt and from the UK, and I don't know if it's like it was a bit of a cultural thing over there in America, but I had to explain to about 500 people, like, oh, there's a reason, and they were just like, Like, so they're really on it because yeah. So hey,
Yeah, I think this is the thing, right? Is I think PAX did a good job of making sure that attendees were vaccinated. They did have their masks. But one thing they can't do is, and because this relies on everyone to do it for themselves, is the proof every day that you are negative. And, as much as PAX have put that in place, what you can't then bank on is what other people do outside of those shows on the evenings and so on.
Yeah.
And that's something that is not within their control. And that's why I say, like, it's down to you to make sure that you look after yourself in the way that you want others to look at. Because if you take care of yourself, you do the right test, you take the right precautions, which is what everyone should be doing. That's a way that we can start to probably have a bit more normality around these things in the future.
No, good point. Well made there, Aaron. So we were at PAX. There's a couple more bits of wild news before we do a little bit.
We're already running out of time.
I know. So I mean, before we do a bit of a speed run of the news, usually the news week's quite light though. Just as a little spoiler warning ahead.
I'll double team. I'll double team these two. These two next bits. So this weekend, Wired are turning 14. That's 14 years old. 14th anniversary, 14 years since the kitchen table. If you go back to episode 0, you'll hear Leo and Jason and Kev talk about how Wired started from a kitchen table with a dog and a few PCs. JinJar, I know you know that story, but we're turning 14 this weekend. There's going to be a lot of fun celebration. We're going to be giving games away. It's going to be a lot of fun. But if you want to help us celebrate our 14th birthday, you can also join the team. We are hiring. Wired are hiring. And if you're looking to take your first step in the industry, if you like eating chicken, we just recently hired the wonderful Anthony, who's coming from Big Up Anthony. He's absolutely amazing guy. He was just out at PAX with us. Has officially started now. But this is a guy who's been very passionate about the video game space. He's run Street Pass groups, Nintendo Street Pass groups in the past. He's done a lot with Safe in Our World and charity as well. And he's been waiting for a long time to get his break into actually working with his passions, and now that's come true. And you could be next. You could be next. I'm pointing at you, JinJar. Come on, what are you doing? It's time. Jump ship. No,
the CV's sent. The CV's sent.
Oh, amazing! If you are interested in getting your first start in video games, we have several roles that are going at the moment. So there's an accountant assistant if you like money and dealing with figures and sorting tax out. Get on board. Tom Nook, send your CV in. We have a producer role which is available, which essentially you become a producer on the titles. You help work with the QA team to make the game as best as it can be. You work directly with all the departments within the company, but you also work directly with the studios and the creators of the game as well, all in a bid to make sure that everything comes together as it should be. Product manager, self-explanatory. Manage some product. Tell people about the game. Why is your game so magical? That is your job. You get to work with PR, you get to work with community, you get to work with marketing, all in the bid to showcase how good a game is,
really
what it
good
is,
at this.
what it's stole.
You're killing it, man. This is
Step right up and get your jobs.
Give Aaron all the roles.
This is what,
Grow some extra hands. And then finally as well, we have a PR manager role as well, which you'll be able to join the PR team. You get to work with the wonderful agencies that Wired work with. Wink, wink. Shout out to their good media. So you'll help manage those PR campaigns, work with our agencies to make sure that, again, that people can see the game in the most exciting ways possible. And it's a wonderful world out there. So why not get your feet into the game industry?
That made me want to work in the games industry, and then I realized I do.
You do?
I was like,
sounds like a great place.
This is It's it's a difficult thing. I'm not going to try and sound like I'm suffering from success, but when you work in the games industry, you can't talk to anyone who doesn't work in the games industry because it makes them jealous because it's so sick. So join us on this side of the world, so then you can also be like complaining about things like, oh, the food at this press party is only small. Why are all the sausage rolls mini? That could be you. All right, good. That's all I got to add, Aaron, to be honest.
Yay. That is an issue. That can be an issue.
My biggest issue at PAX was that the cannolis that Wired supplied to me were too nice that I had 2 of them and felt sick. If you want that to be the main problem in your day, work with Wired. Thank you very much.
To be fair, we went for a little morning day trip to get those cannoli, right? And we were very ambitious in how many we would need. And we're like, yeah, we'll have a box of 24 of the massive ones, and it's going to be these. And then we'll take a mini box of 12 as well. We'll take them back. And in the car on the way back, we actually it was me, Neil, and Leo. How many games industry guys does it take to get cannoli? 3.
There you go.
and we were like, hey, why don't we sneak one of the mini cannolis? That'll be fine. We had a mini one. We were all extremely full and couldn't eat anything else. So those massive ones, those massive tubes filled with like pistachio cream and stuff.
It's like a meal. Yeah,
it was a meal. It was a meal.
And very relatable for everyone listening at home, I'm sure. But it could be a lot more relatable if you just get a job with Wired. So have a look. Could you find where is it? wiredproductions.com/jobs. Have I made that up?
No, you can go there, and you can also, if you drop your eyes on the Wired Twitter feed at WiredP, there's also a pin post where you can P for Productions. There is a pin post where you can look through all of the roles, what they entail, and the portal to submit your CV as well.
That's good. And you can probably see the 14th birthday celebrations on Twitter as well. So it's the best place to go, isn't it? All right, good. Now, in a non-Wired world, things also happen. Are they as exciting as being sick from cannoli? Well, we're going to find out when Aaron brings us the news that we stole from the internet. After we've had this jingle, which has been kind of crammed in post by our wonderful video editor, Curtis. Thank you very much, Curtis, in advance.
News we stole from Google.
So, the world of Wired is vast, but not as vast as the world of video games, because it's really big industry, did you know, everyone listening? And this week, we've got a couple of stories. It's been, like I say, fairly light. So why don't we start with, what's at the top, Aaron? You tell me, mate.
Okay, let's start with the Reginator. So Reggie Fils-Aimé has released a new book this week, or at least when this podcast goes out, it will be released. It's already available on digital and as an audiobook. For those that don't know, Reggie Fils-Aimé was the president and CEO of Nintendo America. He is the guy that came out in 2004 on the stage at E3 and said, my name is Reggie. I'm about kicking ass, taking names, and we're about making games. And everyone was like, oh my God, who is this badass? And then he became a meme. He shot laser beams out of his eyes at things. He did some dance with a clock watch thing. It was this whole thing. But anyway, he made a massive lasting impact on Nintendo. And he has released a book. He no longer works there. He has moved on. Actually, let me phrase it like this. So he has moved on from Nintendo. He is retired. However, he still has other projects that he is involved with in the business world.
Yeah, he mooches about, doesn't he? Like Barack Obama and that.
He mooches about. He's got fingers in many pies. Mm-hmm. And essentially, he was on the IGN podcast last week, the Nintendo podcast NBC. And he basically said, as we all remember, sadly, Satoru Iwata passed away, the legendary Nintendo head. And Reggie took that as a moment of self-reflection to say, there is probably more that I want to do with my life, personal projects, spend more time with family. You know, it's similar to you, JinJar. Sorry, I'm not saying that death is on the horizon, but you do split,
just as a reminder.
You consult the tarot cards. Anyway, tarot cards aside, back in your evil box. Essentially, you know, you have found a very good balance between you know, work and life, which is really hard, and that's probably one of the hardest balances to strike. But anyway, Reggie has released a book. It's the news piece, and it talks about his time from when he worked at, you know, companies such as Pizza Hut, and things from the past before he got to Nintendo. And then in it, he discusses basically his ascension through Nintendo from VP of marketing up to president and CEO. And there's been a bit of feedback from those who have had early access to the book that the book probably feels a bit too self-congratulatory. In terms of, this is what I did, success. This is what I did, success. This is what I wanted to do, but didn't happen. This happened instead. And if we did it my way, there would have been success. Now, now, I'm looking forward. I bought the book. I'm looking forward to sticking my face in it and just, you know, giving the new book smell a sniff. But I think people have to remember that one, he is a businessman. It's quite
Failure's not
a
an
tough
option.
thing for
Yeah.
a businessman of that caliber that still works with large entities to say, here are my failings. However, I think there's some. Yeah, here's why you shouldn't
The
hire me.
idea
Here's the
graveyard.
stupid
Yeah.
stuff I did.
Yeah.
But I think on the flip side as well, I don't think the industry talks a lot about its failures. I think you only get to success by witnessing failure. I think and learning from that. And I think it would be. I'm sure there are lots of interesting stories about failure that could have been told within this. And just within the industry in general, I kind of like the idea of, people admitting their failures and identifying what went wrong, why, and then what did that actually spur on for the success that came next. I think that's a very interesting space to explore. I don't know if you agree.
I agree. That's why I would read the book penned by Bowser. I'd love
Bowser. Yeah.
yeah. King Cooper himself. Like,
haven't won yet, but I keep on keeping on.
I'd read his memoirs. Yeah, exactly.
Arf.
Yeah.
And then he did actually get given a voice, didn't he, once, which was terrible.
That's his success.
Super Mario Sunshine.
He'd have a hell of a story.
Junior.
Do you guys have any Nintendo characters that you would read the book from?
Kirby's cookbook.
Mm.
Cookbook.
Yeah.
Now I take I
inhale these bangers.
Yeah. Now that. All right. Okay, that's good.
Cha-ching.
All right, good.
That is good.
Yeah, you topped that out then. To be honest, Darren, like, I take it back. On the Jinjar, the bar's set very high, mate. Like,
it is. I don't know. I was always more on on the Nintendo side. I was always more of a Zelda Link fan. But I think maybe a book from that sort of side of it.
It's like the idea of a book by Link and it's just blank pages because he doesn't talk.
What? Yeah, exactly.
One hi-R in there or something. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe How to Farm by Marlon from the Ocarina of Time or something like that.
Yeah.
That's a deep cut. That's good. That.
Yeah.
It is.
Churning butter.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
the
really
mini
good.
game we all missed from Zelda. Yeah.
They could have a podcast called Churning Butter, though, couldn't they? The ranch folk in Zelda.
It's a podcast like that.
Yeah.
Very good. All right, so that's good. Yeah, we'll see. I'll tell you what. Let's revisit this when it's out, and we'll see what the general public think about Reggie being the best.
Sticking my face in it this weekend. I'll let you know.
Nice one, man. All right, good. Thank you, Aaron, and thank you, Reggie, in advance.
Oh, time is short, so I'm going to skip a few bits because why not? Let's get to the meat. So I don't know if any of you folks had issues with this, but Xbox have been called into. They have been pointed the finger at by their fan base because their online DRM seems to have failed their user base. Essentially, a server went down and it essentially made it that people couldn't play any of their games on their Xbox consoles. I don't know if you both saw this news come up or if it affected you both in any way.
Actually happened to me.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
So
was there much sadness?
I couldn't play any games unless I owned it on a disc. So all my digital stuff was like locked, and it was just basically saying, "You don't own this product. You can't use it right now." Yeah. So luckily, I had a couple of games on disc.
Yeah. How long does that happen for?
So it was around 4 days. I think it's been around 4 days. I think it might still be affecting some areas. There is a follow-up to this. Is Microsoft have come out and said that they are looking to do an update that should fix this. I think some people had it where if their console was previously set to their home main console, then it didn't seem to be an issue. But that isn't set by default.
Yeah, that's what happens on PlayStation, doesn't it? So if it's not your main console, you have to have an internet connection, don't you, or else you're not able to play.
Yep.
So there's like it checks every half an hour. So that sometimes if it fails to check, even if you've got an internet connection, if your internet dropped out for 10 seconds when it was checking, it get kicked out of your games and stuff like that. So maybe it's some.
I think that happened to me on Elden Ring.
There we go. This is what I mean. Yeah, so you have to make it your main.
Now
console.
I know.
So that'll be it. There we go. And so, all right then. That's. Woo.
Yeah. I mean, mine's all working now, so I can't complain now. But it did lock me out for a couple of days. So,
I think it brings back the age-old question of, when you buy digitally, how much do you actually own what you've purchased? And I think when digital prices, if it was a much cheaper alternative to physical, then okay, cool, you buy a license. But the fact that those digital prices haven't really dropped compared to physical is, and you have to remember that they
in
have
most cases.
Yeah, but also if you think about the Xbox Series S, which is all online, that is the only way you can get your games on the console.
Yeah, that's what I have, by the way. That's what I have. So yeah, that doesn't leave me in much, good will, does it?
I don't know, but they're fixing it. It's great. Microsoft are great, and it must have been something that was overlooked. But again, it caused a bit of sorry about the bang. It caused a bit of outrage at the start.
And the funny thing is, I know it's I'm making a huge assumption here, so this is not fact, but the chances are it's probably one tiny line of code somewhere, and it's affected. And I think that's the one thing that's a bit crazy.
Like in Alien Colonial Marines, right? Remember that game was absolutely panned, and it turns out a coder went in and saw that it was just because of a spelling error in one line of code that ballsed up the AI entirely. And one change to it fixed it, and it's like, oh, it's actually quite good.
Unreal, isn't it?
Unreal Engine 3, I think it was. Yeah,
that's good. That's good trivial knowledge. That, and it's about collision detection or something. So there's, I think that's it, wasn't it? We got.
Yeah, I think so.
All right, so we had. Do you want to just read the headlines of the last two, just so we've serviced the masses?
Speaking of Gearbox to an extent, I guess, is that the original Duke Nukem Forever has been leaked online. So Duke Nukem Forever obviously was delayed so many times for so long. Eventually was released by Gearbox after they purchased the license for it in 2011, I think, and was panned. It was panned. So that wait wasn't worth it, and it really did take forever. But apparently the original 2001 version of Duke Nukem Forever, what it was back on Unreal Engine 1, when it was just Unreal Engine, has been leaked online, and that could be interesting to look into, especially to see, hey, how many similarities were there between this and what actually eventually came to be? Was there promise in what was there? Would it have been a better game? I don't know. But in the spirit of preservation that's going on, it's quite a nice window to look into the past and have a little dodgy tweak around. That sounds weird.
A dodgy tweak around.
A little dodgy tweak around. Do you know what I mean?
There's been quite a few of them in this episode, I think, and I quite like that. I'm glad to have you back, to be honest.
It's good to be back. It's good to be back. Yeah. And then the last piece, which doesn't affect me at all because I'll let you in on this in a bit. The Top Gun expansion for Microsoft Flight Simulator is going to release on May 25th, which is 2 days ahead of the film launch. Now, some are gonna shoot me down for this, but I have never seen Top Gun, so I don't care. But what I can find in this is how that is going to play in Microsoft Flight Simulator, which is about realistically piloting, magnificently sized aircraft. Yeah, consumer aircraft doing a flight from here to Beijing, in real time, because why not? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like, oh, look at the trees, but Top Gun,
front flips or whatever.
I was going to say, are we adding Top Gun airplanes into this, or is it barrel rolls and stuff, but in a Boeing?
Oh my god, imagine
or something.
Just the soundtrack. Yes. I'm interested, but it's going to be interesting because it doesn't seem like a natural fit apart from they've gone planes. Yeah. So let's have a look at.
Am I missing anything with Top Gear? Was it of its time? Is it still palatable?
Top Gun?
Sorry, Top Gear. My God, sorry, Top Gun. Top Gun. That's how much I haven't seen it.
I only watched it for the first time 4 years ago because I worked in an office where everyone said, "You've not watched Top Gun," so I watched it, and there was a lot of high-fiving in that. And that's all I really remember.
Yeah.
I'm really sorry to the Top Gun fans listening. They have just had severe disappointment. Jinjar, can you maybe just like, if you've got anything to add about Top Gun that might like try and like...
He's an extra in the sequel.
Yeah. No, it's been so long since I've seen the film. I honestly don't really remember a lot of it, so it couldn't have been that great.
Okay.
But
You're still the authority on Top Gun, though. That's the thing. At this point.
Yeah.
So...
Yes. Yeah. But no. I do want to see the sequel. But I think I probably, if I watched back the original now, would it be still as good as what people remember it as?
Yeah.
Or I don't know.
Yeah.
I watched what did I watch the other day? I watched The Rock. The other day. Sean Connery, Nicolas Cage. You know,
A bear?
Yeah.
Is that the one with a bear? Right, okay, good. Yeah. Right.
No.
Is that
No.
someone else?
I think so.
Is that like The Edge? Oh well, all right, doesn't matter.
Anyway,
Doesn't matter,
I watched The Rock, and
So sorry.
I haven't watched it for so long, but it doesn't hold up, and it's a shame. But my memories of it, they burn true. Well,
My toxic trait
hey-ho.
is telling people they must do something, like they must watch this film, and then they're like, and then I'm like, oh, actually, it was quite mid, wasn't it? Well, look, thank you very much, everybody, for tuning into another episode of Wild, and thank you, Jinjar, for sitting through this entire thing. There we go.
Oh, thanks for having me.
We're trying to microdose this longevity here, so you can do an 18-hour stream next time. You know what I mean?
That's what it is. Yeah.
We're here to help it's the endurance training. I'd like to say a big thanks for sharing your story with us as well and teaching us the sort of the throes of Twitch and the pitfalls of having a wife, a chat, and an app together. Do you know what I mean? So listen.
Yes.
Thank you, Aaron. It's really good to have you back.
My
Couldn't
pleasure.
do it without you, baby. And we'll see you all. We'll see you all next week for our special guest and some jingles and a home setup.
Jingles.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Wired Unplugged.